Krishna, Janav.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, everybody. So we
Hare
are going.
Krishna.
So we'll start now, and today we are going to learn about the life story of Tulsi Devi and Tulsi Shaligram Vivah, as tomorrow is the last day of Kartik Purnima and it is celebration of Tulsi Shaligram Vivah. So we will be reading about that. We'll be knowing about that. Okay. But before we start, we will first do our Mangalacharan. All right. So also I had a question. Okay, we'll do that later, no problem. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate ताप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लङ्घ्यायते गिरिं यत् कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरं। हरि ओम तत्सत्। All right, so now Tulsi we know is the plant Tulsi that we worship. Shaligram is the Lord himself, Lord Krishna himself in the form of a stone. So first we are going to understand how Tulsi Devi appeared as a plant, what happened, everything about Tulsi Devi, and then about her wedding with Shaligram. So normally every single day we say the mantra. So two mantras for sure we say for Tulsi Maya. The pranam mantra, which is Vrindai Tulsi Devi Ay Priyai Keshavascha Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavati Namo Namaha. What does it mean? I offer my repeated obeisances unto Vrinda, Srimati Tulsi Devi, who is very dear to Lord Keshava. O Goddess, you bestow devotional service to Lord Krishna and possess the highest truth. Then this is the pranam mantra. Then when we circumambulate her, which is the pradikshna mantra, which is Yani Kani Chapapani Brahma Hatyadi Kani Cha Tani Tani Prana Shanti Pradakshana Pade Pade. What does that mean? It means that by circumambulating Tulsi Devi, all sins that one may have committed are destroyed at every step, even the sin of killing a Brahmana. So these two mantras for sure every day we say, and then when we do Tulsi Aarti, we sing the Tulsi Aarti song. So one time what happened was Devarishi Narada, who's the celestial preacher, he asked Lord Vishnu that kindly tell me more about Tulsi Devi. How did she become a plant? How has she developed so much pure devotion to you? And still, she is supposed to bestow mercy on everyone. And if she belongs to the spiritual world, how did she come to material world? Why did she marry a demon? And what is it about her past life? So seeing this inquisitiveness, Lord Vishnu, he narrated a story to Narad Muni about a personality named Daksh Savarni. Now this Daksh Savarni was an expansion of Lord Vishnu. He had a son by the name Dharma Savarni, who had a son by the name Vishnu Savarni, and whose son was Raj Savarni. Okay, so Daksh Savarni, Dharma Savarni, Vishnu Savarni and Raj Savarni. And his son, Raj Savarni's son, was Rishabh Dwaj. Now, everybody from this lineage, the five, we took five names. So the first four, that is, except for the Rishabh Dwaj, all were very virtuous and partial incarnations or expansions or plenary portions of Lord Vishnu himself, and they were very devoted to Lord Vishnu. Just Rishabh Dev, he was a devotee of Lord Shiva. But the problem was that he used to worship Lord Shiva but blaspheme all other devotees, which was not very nice. So, and Lord Shiva, we know one of his names is Ashutosh. Ashutosh means one who is very easily pleased. So, he actually ignored this fact that his devotee was being blasphemous to other demigods. And the demigods, because Lord Shiva is the head of the demigods, so the other demigods were scared of Lord Shiva, so they tolerated Rishabh Dwaja's behavior, but they were not happy. Now, one time, actually, Surya Dev got really upset and he just could not take it anymore and he cursed Rishabh Dwaja, saying that you are blaspheming all the demigods and worshipping Lord Shiva, which is not right. So I curse you to lose all your wealth and your prosperity. Now, when Lord Shiva, as soon as this curse was pronounced, Lord Shiva, he mounted on Nandi, his bull carrier, and took his trident and started going after Suryadev. Suryadev got really scared. So he took shelter of his father, Kashyap Muni, who then took him to Brahma, Lord Brahma, for protection. He's the father of Kashyap Muni. But Lord Brahma said that even Lord Shiva's fury I cannot handle. So we'll have to go to Lord Vishnu. So they all marched in that direction to Vaikuntha-lok, followed by Lord Shiva. Now, Vaikuntha-lok, the word Vaikunt itself means Vaikunt, no kunt, no misery, no lamentation, no suffering. So it's a very peaceful, serene place. So before Lord Shiva could come there, reach there, Lord Vishnu pacified, after hearing the story, Lord Vishnu pacified Suryadev and asked him to be fearless because he was in such a place where there was no room for misery anyway. So he said, relax, all will be fine, I'll take care of it. And then when Lord Shiva came, Lord Shiva was also pacified by Lord Vishnu. And then Lord Vishnu asked him, so my dear Lord Shiva, what brings you here? So Lord Shiva says, I am very worried about my devotee, Rishabh Dwaja. He's been cursed by Lord Suryadev like that. So Lord Vishnu said, you know what? You've spent a few moments here, but in the same time, 21 generations, parallelly on earth have passed of this king. His son Hamsadhwaja came and he's gone. Then like that, 21 generations were gone. And at present, two of the sons, Dharmadhwaja and Kushadhwaja, they are ruling the earth. But yes, even though they are my devotees, they are affected by the curse of Lord Suryadev and they are bereft of wealth. But do not worry, their family is safe and sound, and I'll take care of the rest. So he pacified both of them, and they both went to their respective, and they all the demigods went to their respective abodes. Now on the earth, these two brothers, Dharmadhwaja and Kushadhwaja, they were worshipping Lakshmi and Narayan with one pointed focus, to the extent that Lakshmi Devi was so pleased with them that she blessed both of them with wealth. And actually, she was so happy with Dharmadhwaja's tapasya that she blessed him to have an expansion of Lakshmi in the womb of Madhavi, who was the wife of Dharmadhwaja. So now, and who's Lakshmi? Lakshmi is eternal expansion of Radharani. So now, carrying this baby girl, Madhavi became effulgent. She was so pretty when she was carrying the child. Now, when the child was born, the baby girl was unmatched. She was unparalleled. That is why she was named Tulasi. You know, in Sanskrit, the word Tula means when you compare something. So Tulasi means something which is not comparable to anything. Jiski tulna nahi ho sakti, like that. So that's how she got the name Tulasi, because there was nobody like Tulasi in every regard, every respect. So she finally appeared on the occasion of Kartik Purnima to Dharmadwaja and Madhavi. Now, being such a pure devotee, she also had one pointed focus on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Soon after she was born, then she went to Badrinath to perform her austerities. She was so austere, that during summer time, she would light 4 fires around her. And the fifth one was the blazing heat of the sun on her head. So literally, she was in the middle of 5 fires in summer. And in winter, she was so austere that she would actually she would dip herself neck deep in the cold water. So this is how austere she was. And that's the kind of austerity she did to have Krishna as her husband. We in Kalyug, thankfully, don't have to do these kind of austerities. The only austerity we have to do is chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That also we don't do nicely. So anyways, coming back to Tulasi Devi. So for first 10,000 years, she ate only roots and fruits. Then for the next 20,000 years, she ate leaves which naturally fell from the tree. Then for the next 40,000 years, she was breathing only air. Then the last 10,000 years of her life, she actually stood on one leg. And that's when Lord Brahma was very pleased with her austerity and gave her darshan. And then asked her, so what is it that you want? In question to this, in answer to this question, Tulasi Devi told this to Lord Brahma, that she was an eternal associate of the Lord. So what had happened was, once during Ras Leela in Goloka, Tulasi Devi was dancing in the Ras Leela with Krishna, and she was touched by Krishna. By that slight touch of Krishna, she went in complete ecstasy and she fainted. She fainted right next to Krishna. So Krishna then embraced her, and seeing this, Radharani got very, very upset. So she cursed Tulasi Devi to be born in the material world. Tulasi Devi begged for forgiveness from Srimati Radharani, and at the same time, she seeked blessings from Sri Krishna. So Sri Krishna said, do not worry. Do as you are asked to do. Just live by this curse. You'll appear in the material world, and then you will do austerity to Lord Brahma. And by the end of your austerity, you will get the boon from Brahma to get a husband who is an expansion of Narayan. So she told all this to Lord Brahma. So now Lord Brahma is actually asking her for the boon. So she's saying, now following this, I seek your blessings to give me a boon that I could marry Lord Narayan. Now, in response to this, what did Lord Brahma say? Lord Brahma told her another story. He said that Tulasi, the way you are an eternal associate of Lord Krishna, and you were cursed by Srimati Radharani to be born in the material world. Similarly, another eternal associate of Lord Krishna by the name of Sudama has been cursed by Srimati Radharani to appear as a demon on the earth by the name of Shankachura. This Sudama in the spiritual world had some liking for you, but out of fear of Krishna and Radharani, he could never express his feelings. So now he's been cursed by Srimati Radharani, and he is appeared as a demon and is now doing tapasya to have you as a wife. So it is by the will of Providence that you two have to get married. But do not worry. in this lifetime itself, you will get Narayan as your husband as well. Time will unfold the mystery. So Tulsi, she actually confessed to Lord Brahma and said, actually, I'm not attracted to Narayan. I'm very much attracted to the two-handed form of Krishna. But because Krishna asked me to do this austerity to please you so that I can have Narayan as my husband, so I'm doing that. But I'm more interested. I'm more for Krishna because he has 4 qualities which are superior than anybody else, which is Venu Madhuri, Rupa Madhuri, Leela Madhuri, and Prema Madhuri. I fall for these 4 qualities, but now whatever you desire. So Lord Brahma was very, very happy with this honesty of Tulasi Devi, and he said, do not worry, you've committed an offense to Srimati Radharani, so I will initiate you in Radhanam. You pacify her, and then at the end of 12 years of your tapasya, you will get the fruit of your tapasya. So she did so, and then in dream one night, and she was blissfully sleeping and taking rest at the end of her tapasya of 12 years, she had a dream where a young, beautiful boy was waiting for her to get married to her. And Tulsi got this dream, and this was inspired by, the boon that was given to her by Lord Brahma to please Srimati Radharani. And it was by her blessings and her mercy that her desire to have Krishna was fulfilled even in the dream. So then this happened. Now, we can understand that by serving Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, and by serving Nitai, Gauranga, and the Vaishnavas, we get the mercy of Sri Krishna. So now what happened? We'll come back to the story of Tulasi Devi and Shankachura. Now, Lord Brahma, he had a son by the name of Marichi, who's a Prajapati. He had a son by the name of Kashyap. There was another Prajapati by the name of Daksha who had 13 daughters. So these 13 daughters of Daksha Prajapati were married to the son of Prajapati Marichi, that is Kashyap Muni. One of those daughters was Dhanu, and she was very chaste and beautiful, and she, along with Kashyap Muni, had a son named Viprachiti. This Viprachiti, he was very powerful, and he had equally powerful and charismatic son by the name of Dambha. The problem with Dambha was he was not happy because he didn't have a son. Everybody in the lineage had a son, but he didn't have one son. So he went to Pushkar Tirtha to perform austerities, and there he chanted the holy names of Krishna without any obstacle, continuously. It was so sincere that the fire of his tapasya was disturbing the demigods. They got very scared that now what is he up to? So they thought he was a demon. So they run to Lord Vishnu seeking his help, and Lord Vishnu tells them that there's nothing to worry about. He's not a demon. He's just in desire of a son, and I will send Lord Brahma to fulfill this desire. So then Lord Brahma gives darshan to Dambha and asks him, what is it that you need? So then he asks for a son. So Lord Brahma takes out water from his water pot and says, so be it. But then Dambha says, hold on, I just don't want a son. I want a son who's a devotee of the Lord and who can deliver his ancestors. Hearing this, Lord Brahma became all the more pleased, and he said, okay, so be it. So then he was blessed with a son. Now his wife soon, was expecting a child. So just as Madhavi, when she was carrying the expansion of Srimati Radharani, Lakshmi Devi, so she was very effulgent. Similarly, this, the wife of Dambha was carrying within her womb an eternal associate of the Lord. And this eternal associate was none other than Sudama, who was cursed by Srimati Radharani. So he now, because of his presence, his mother was also very bright and effulgent. And this Sudama was named as Shankachura by his father. So like his father, he also went to Pushkar to perform tapasya. But what was he doing tapasya for? So when he was doing tapasya, Lord Brahma gave him darshan and asked him what is it that he was looking for. And he said, Lord Brahma, you know everything. I just want to be very, very powerful so that I can win over both all upper, lower, and middle planetary system. And also, please let Tulsi be my better half. Now, hearing this, Brahma became very pleased and he said, okay, I will give you an amulet, which is a jewel, which is basically a locket kind of a thing, which is called Sarv Mangalmai, that belongs to Krishna. And he wanted to give that jewel because, as the word says, Sarv Mangalmai, that means it provides all auspiciousness and protection. And he said, this is going to protect you, because he asked for the boon to be able to conquer, the middle planetary, lower planetary, and upper planetary systems. That means he had to be protected all the time and nobody could defeat him. So this Sarv Mangalmai amulet was for that purpose. Then he said, okay, go to Badrinath and get married to Tulsi. Just as you did tapasya to marry her, she did tapasya, and I blessed her to marry you. Now, please go to Badrinath and marry her. On the instructions of Lord Brahma, he does that. He goes to Badrinath, he sees Tulsi, they both get attracted to each other. And then to test if Shankhachura was the right match for her, Tulsi tells him that, so when he asks Tulsi that, who are you and what are you doing here? And she says that I am Tulsi and I am a girl by myself here. It is not good for a gentleman like you to talk to a girl when she's alone. But at the same time, I know I have a question that women in general are the cause of illusion. Are you sure you want to get married to me? The women are not chaste always. So to that, Shankarjura replied that women or men, both are chaste and unchaste, depending on if they are following the righteous path. If they are on the path of dharma, they are chaste. If they are not on the path of dharma, they are not chaste. You, on the other hand, being the daughter of virtuous Madhavi and Dharmadwaja, are very, very virtuous like your parents. So Tulasi Devi said, I was just testing you because I know you're Shankachura and you did tapasya to get married to me. I just wanted to see if you have the right intelligence to discriminate between right and wrong. So I am very satisfied. And even though I did tapasya to get married to Narayan, it is by the will of Providence that I am supposed to get married to you. And I don't know how, but that's what Lord Brahma said, that in this lifetime I will my desire will be fulfilled too. So hearing this, they were both talking to each other and Lord Brahma appeared. So Lord Brahma said, what are you waiting for? Go get married in Gandharva style. So in Gandharva style in today's time is basically love marriage. So there itself, they got married and the demigods were the witnesses and they showered flowers and they were playing bugles and they were giving blessings, and like this they started their new life together and they were very happy with each other and they were spending time with each other, enjoying each other's company and respecting each other. So now with time, Shankhachura's first boon of becoming very powerful so that he could win over the three planetary systems was coming true, and he was becoming powerful day by day, and by the blessings of Lord Brahma he started defeating demigods. Now the demigods became fearful and they approached Lord Brahma and said, what have you done? With your blessings he has become so powerful and you don't understand, with power comes pride. What is going to happen? So Lord Brahma, along with the demigods, he goes to Kailash. They go to Kailash to see Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva also accompanies them, and then they all go together to Vaikuntha to see Lord Vishnu. Again, Vaikuntha is a place, very peaceful place, serene place, no hankering, no lamentation, no suffering there. So Lord assures them, then don't worry, when the time comes, I'm going to devise a plan to control Shankachura. And dear demigods, you need not be fearful, as you have taken shelter of my lotus feet. So then the Lord explained the past of Shankachura to them and told them that he had the jewel called Sarva Mangalmai, which unless he parts with, nobody can defeat him. Also, his chaste wife Tulsi has to give up her chastity. Only then can be defeated. And don't worry, when the time comes, I will take care of that. All of you, please become fearless and go back to your abodes. So they went back. Now, why was Shankachura cursed? By Radharani. So one time, what was happening in Goloka was that Krishna was sporting with Virja. Virja is another gopi there in a Kunja of Vrindavan, and Radharani became very angry. Now, out of fear of Radharani, Virja, she left the Kunja and she actually became a river. She melted out of fear. So she became a river. And Krishna, on the other hand, started running too, because he was also fearful of Srimati Radharani. And at that particular time, he was able to escape her. But then when later Radharani confronted him, at that time, he was with his two friends, Sridham and Sudama. They both were guarding him, and Srimati Radharani was very heavy with him. She was she was very, very upset. So she was rebuking him, which was not being liked by the two friends, especially Sudama. He got so angry that he started rebuking Radharani. And Radharani got so angry that she cursed him that you're behaving like a demon, you're siding when he's wrong. I curse you to become a demon and go in the material world. But as soon as she pronounced this curse, she was very regretful. She realized that what she had done. But then Sudama started crying because curse once pronounced cannot be taken back. And then Krishna told him, it's okay. You go, you live by the curse, and I shall protect you. And when he was leaving Goloka, Radharani approached him and asked him not to go. But then Sudama said, do not worry, I shall take your curse also as a blessing. So then this Sudama, he appeared as Shankachura. Now, when Lord Shiva heard from Lord Vishnu that he was about to make a plan at the right time to take away Sarvamangalmay Kavach from Shankachura, Lord Shiva thought that he should give a chance to Shankachura. And so he basically sent a messenger, a war messenger, what we call, by the name of Pushpa Danta, who was a big Gandharva, to Shankachura as a war ambassador. And he went and he told Shankachura that Lord Shiva has sent me, and we want to talk about peace. And it'll be nice if you give away, you give up all the thrones that you have taken, which originally belonged to the demigods. And then he saw the royal arrangement where he was living, and he said, all this is nice, but what you've done is not right. So Shankachura laughed, and he was like, to him, it felt as if a house fly was challenging a lion in the forest. He didn't even pay much attention, and he said, I'm ready to fight. So he went back. Pushpadanta went back to Lord Shiva and conveyed his message. So Lord Shiva said, okay, so be it, if that's what he wants. And then after gathering all the demigods, the war began. Now Shankachura, he was preparing himself to go for the fight, and Tulsi Devi was concerned. So he consoled Tulsi Devi, as she was very restless, and Shankachura told Tulsi Devi that this is inevitable. He said he was talking philosophy, heavy philosophy, because after all, he was eternal associate of the Lord, so he knew that. So he was saying that our duty is only to be entitled to our actions, not to the result of our actions. Whatever comes our way, we have to tolerate. If it is good, good. If it is not, then we just have to tolerate. If it is good, we need to be grateful. So all this is inevitable. It's just a matter of time, just as the seed becomes a plant and then it becomes a fruit and a flower bearing tree. But with time, all these fruits and flowers decay also. So, fearing failure, we should not avoid the fight. This all Shankachura knew, all this philosophy, and he was um, trying to console Tulasi Devi. And in fact, he even told her that, remember, you were doing tapasya to get Narayan as your husband. So if something happens to me in the war, if I come back safe and sound, good. If I don't, then the best is yet to come for you. So do not worry. So then he prepared himself, mentally, physically, emotionally for this war. And he put his son, Suchandra, as the acting king. He took bath, he said his prayers, he gave charity to the brahmanas, and along with his soldiers, his ministers, his infantry, he left for the war. Now he went to the place where Lord Shiva was doing tapasya. This place is called Siddha Ashram. It is around the bank of river Pushpabhadra. It's there even today by this name, Pushpabhadra. And it's the same place where Kapil Muni he did his meditation. So Lord Shiva, he looked effulgent, right? Because his mind, his thought, body, and deed, everything was absorbed in serving the lotus feet of the Lord by meditation. So he was very, very effulgent and peaceful. So Shankachura paid obeisances to Lord Shiva, who then opened his eyes and smiled. And he told Shankachura his own history, that how he came from the spiritual world to the material world, how he was Sudama in the spiritual world, and then how he came to the material world. And then he said, now you give up all this and that you have taken from demigod, because this is material world, that everything is temporary, nothing lasts forever, it's just a matter of time. The only important thing is to keep our consciousness pure, as is from Satyug to Treta to Dwapar to Kalyug. The virtues have reduced from 100% to 75% to 50% to 25%. In fact, at the end of Kalyug, this 25% will become zero. So it is just a matter of time. The only thing that can save us is taking the shelter of bhakti. So he said, I am Mrityunjay, the one who has conquered death. And how has that become possible? Because I have taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. So this way, Lord Shiva was advising him. And he asked, but Shankachura told him, I have only one question. Why is it that Lord always sides the demigods? Why you, as Mrityunjay, always side the demigods? What about the demons? So Lord Shiva explained to him that no, it's not so. It's just that you are awarded the actions or the reactions of your actions. So whatever your karma is, that's how you're rewarded. The way you use your free will or misuse your free will, that's the result you get. Yes, Lord is equal to everyone, but because his devotees are more inclined to him, he does give them special blessings. Because they take his shelter. And that's exactly what he was asking Shankachura to do, to take shelter of the Lord. So he was saying, you either give back the demigods their kingdom or you fight. So Shankachura chose to fight. He paid obeisances to all the demigods present there, and then he went back on his chariot. He mounted his chariot to shoot weapons now. Then the war started. This war continued for days and days, because both the parties were equally powerful. So then, sometimes demons would win, sometimes demigods would win. And like this, the battle was going on and on. Now, at one point, the demons became so powerful that Lord Shiva had to let Kartikeya go and fight. Then Kartikeya took over. Oh, it was devastating. The demons were in bad shape. But again, with time, Kartikeya was injured, and then the demons took over. Then Lord Shiva sent Kali. But Kali alone, goddess Kali, did not fight alone. She went back with injured Kartikeya to Lord Shiva, took blessings of Lord Shiva for Kartikeya, and then they both entered the battle. That time, again, it was terrible. There was bloodshed everywhere. And Lord Shiva got very disturbed that as to, and then actually Shankhachura himself also came in the battlefield when Kartikeya and goddess Kali were fighting. And this was going on and on and on. And Lord Shiva finally, when he came to the battlefield and he was meditating on Lord Vishnu, thinking that what is going to happen. As he was meditating on Lord Vishnu appeared and he said, now that I am here, do not worry. So he said, I am going to disguise myself as an old Brahmana and get the amulet from Shankhachura, because unless he gives up the amulet, he'll be protected always. So he goes as a Brahmana, old Brahmana, who looked very skinny, very hungry, very thirsty, very desperate. He went in front of Shankhachura and he asked him, Shankhachura asked him, how can I help you? So he said, first you promise me that you will help me and then I'll tell you how you can help me. So Shankhachura said, okay, there's nothing, he didn't have a reason to deny. He said, okay, I promise. So he said, give me your amulet, give me this kavach. And Shankhachura was not at all doubtful. He didn't think twice. He just took off his locket and gave it to kavach and gave it to the old Brahmana. And this Brahmana walked a little distance and then disguised himself as Shankhachura, and he entered his kingdom. Now, in earlier days, a Kshatriya would return from the battlefield to his home only if he won the battle. Otherwise, he would give up his body in the battlefield. Now, Shankhachura, he returned. Lord disguised as Shankhachura returned to the palace, and everybody thought that he had won the battle. Everybody was very happy to welcome him. Tulsi Devi was so happy to welcome him. She welcomed him with sweet words, washed his feet, asked him to sit, offered him prasadam, and then she wanted to know every single bit of what happened in the battlefield, because she was wondering how could he defeat Mrityunjay, Lord Shiva. So then Shankhachura, he said that, we were both fighting and we were both head to head, and then Lord Brahma intervened and he said, let's make peace. You take your share, give them their share, and call it a truce. So we did that. He went to his Kailash and I came back to my palace. Hearing this, Tulsi Devi was very happy and she hugged, she embraced her husband and they got close to each other. That's when her chastity was broken. So when this was happening, in the real Shankhachura in the battlefield, who was now fighting, started becoming weak because he had lost both the amulet and the chastity of his wife. So then he started being weak, and then Lord Shiva came with his trident, a trident that was given to him by Lord Vishnu, which was full of potency and power. And he hit Shankhachura with that trident, which touched his head, and he was burned to ashes. But the bones of his body were carried by Lord Shiva himself, who threw them in the ocean. These bones of Shankhachura became the conch shells that which we use. The question may arise that bones are muchi. How are they used in all ritualistic ceremonies, and how are they signs of auspiciousness when are blown at the beginning or end of ceremonies or war? The reason being is Shankhachura was none other than the eternal associate of Lord Sudama, the eternal associate of Lord, and being such a nice devotee, his bones are therefore used as conch shells everywhere now. So anyway, so when his body was perished, it got burned. So he returned to Goloka as Sudama, and everyone back there in Goloka was very happy to have him back. Now Lord Shiva, he went back to Kailash. Now in the palace, when real Shankhachura was destroyed, something clicked to Tulsi Devi and she thought that something is wrong somewhere. Then when she looked at her husband who was lying there, she thought, no, this is not the same person. The way he was behaving, the way he spoke, the way he approached her, nothing seemed familiar to her. And she suddenly said, who are you? Where have you come from? Where is my husband? And then Shankhachura transformed himself into Lord Vishnu with seeing all his opulences in the four hands, all his beauty, still Tulasi was not pacified. She was very hurt, and she said, just because you wanted to win a war, you took away my chastity. You're such a heartless person. Your heart is made of stone. I curse you to become a stone. And then Tulsi Devi was crying, and Lord smiled and accepted the curse, did not say anything, and very compassionately looked at Tulsi Devi and said, but you did tapasya all along to get me as your husband. But with the intervention of Lord Brahma, there is no way I could get married to you. And Shankachura was there, so he had to go back. That also did not pacify her, because she had now lost her heart to her husband. And she said, no, what you did was not right, and I curse you to become a stone. So then Lord accepted that, and he said, okay, so be it. I will become a stone, and you will become the river Gandaki in Bharatvarsh. And that river is going to be very pious, a holy place. People will come and take a dip to get rid of their sins. And the hairs on your body will transform into tulasi plants. Your body will be river Gandaki, and the hairs on your body will transform into tulasi plants. And the place where even a leaf is found, or then tulsi will grow, that place will be considered as dham. You can, if you take parikrama of that place, it will be equivalent to circumambulating the pastime places of the Lord. And so on, he went on glorifying Tulasi, her leaves, her water, the parikrama, and he said, even if someone offers one leaf to me, will get the benefit of giving charity, 1 million cows in charity to the right brahmanas at the right time. And if somebody dies with tulasi leaf in them on their tongue, is never going to come back to the material world. In fact, if anybody lies in front of a tulasi plant, will go to Kumbhipak, hell, and will rot forever. So your leaves will be so pure that even if fallen, they can be washed and reused and so on. So then after glorifying Tulasi Devi like that, he went on and on. He said, I will now prepare myself to become a stone. Then he becomes a stone from Annapurna mountain at the base of Gandaki river at Muktinath, which is present-day Nepal. So he said the rocks which will fall from Annapurna mountain into the river will be worshipable, not the ones which fall on the ground. So because the ones which fall on the ground are the brown colored rocks, and these which fall in the Gandaki river are the black colored rocks. And he said, I will manifest as Shaligram in the form of Lord Vishnu manifests himself as Shaligram, Shila. And he also said that there will be worms like Vajrakita, which in Gandaki, if they will bite the rocks and give unique impressions to that rock, and based on those unique impressions, different names will be given to the Shaligram Shilas, and that's how they will be worshipped, like Narsingha Shaligram, Sudarshan Shaligram, like that, different, Krishna Balram, different, depending on the impressions that Vajrakita will give. All those worms will give. So then the point is that Shaligram Shilas, they come from Gandaki river and are worshipped by Tulsi. Gandaki river is nothing but the body of Tulsi, and the Shila is worshipped by Tulsi, which is the hair of Tulsi. So they were always together. They'll always be together, just like husband and wife. So that's how the marriage of Tulsi and Shaligram is performed every year by devotees around the world. Also, he said that just as lying in front of Tulsi will lead you to Kumbhipak, will lead one to Kumbhipak hell, lying with Shaligram in the hand will ensure that the person rots in Kumbhipak hell for the lifetime of Lord Brahma. So now Vishnu became the rock, and Tulsi became the Gandaki river. And then they both go back to their spiritual world. Now, basically first they go to Vaikuntha. There, Lakshmi Devi understood the importance of the tapasya done by Tulasi to have Vishnu and Narayana as her husband, and she was not jealous. She actually understood. She understood the exalted position of Tulasi by all her tapasya that she had done. But there was somebody there also who was not happy by this tapasya, by the exalted position, by the importance that was being given to Tulasi, and that was Saraswati Devi. The question may arise that in Vaikuntha, where there is no lamentation, no suffering, no misery, how come there is jealousy and envy? That is only to teach a lesson to people like us that when we are amongst devotees or Vaishnavas, we should not have jealousy or we should not have enviousness. This pastime was basically performed to teach us that having envy contaminates our own heart, more so because of the suffering that we do because of doing Vaishnava Prad. So, because now this Saraswati, she abused Tulasi, so Tulasi left Vaikuntha. Following her, following this, Vishnu felt dejected and he came looking for her in Vrindavan, where all the Tulasi plants were present, and he was meditating on all the Tulasi plants. It is said that Tulasi is grown only in Vrindavan. So now anywhere where Tulasi grows, be it America or India, the soil is that of Vrindavan. So it is equally powerful, pious, and worshipable. So anyway, so in that mood of separation from, he was sitting there, in Vrindavan, there is Tulsi everywhere. He was meditating on Tulsi plants, looking at Tulsi plants. He was meditating on Tulsi in the mood of separation. And he gave so many beautiful names to her, of which 8 are very famous. And it is said that if we recite these 8 names of Tulsi in front of Tulsi plant, our advancement for our spiritual life becomes very fast, So what were those names? Vrinda, which means, Vrinda means group. When we say prayers like Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, so that is when you meeting in groups. So Vrinda, because Tulasi always grows in groups. Then Vrindavani. Vrindavani is the presiding deity of Vrindavan. Vishva Pujita. That means she's supposed to be worshipped by the entire Vishwa. Vishwa Pavini, because she has the ability to uplift everyone who falls at her lotus feet. Nandini, the one who gives pleasure to the devotees and the Lord, because by offering any bhoga, any flower, anything to the Lord, if Tulsi is placed, Lord is very pleased, and if the offering is accepted, the Bhakta is very pleased. Then is Pushpa Sara, because generally we offer flowers to the Lord, and Manjari is supposed to be the flower of Tulsi plant. So that holds the topmost position. Then Tulasi, as we discussed, that which is not comparable. And Krishna Jivani, because Krishna is her life and soul. So this is how the Lord glorified Tulasi in separation, and these names were given to her. So it is said that everything in Vedas is completed only by worshipping Tulsi, and because it's just not a normal plant. It is for people, who don't believe in Tulsi. Tulsi takes the form of the plant, but she is basically, it is said the root of Tulasi plant is actually the dust of Vrindavan, because as we discussed, that Tulasi is grown only in Vrindavan. So now anywhere or everywhere where Tulasi grows, that place is the dust, the root is said to be in the dust of Vrindavan, and that is to be worshipped by us. And understanding all this mahima of Tulasi, Srila Prabhupada, who's our founder Acharya, he gave us the beautiful morning and evening programs, which we start by worshipping Tulasi, which is completed only by Tulasi Aarti. In the morning, we do After Mangala Aarti, we do Tulasi Aarti. In the evening, we do Tulasi Aarti. We say all the pranam mantras, the parikrama mantra, and we sing the Tulasi song, the kirtan that we do. So we should sing that song every day. And it will be nice if we can memorize these mantras. So with this, I would like to end. And if anybody has any questions, they can ask. Tulsi Maharani ki jai.
Mataji, I have a question.
Yes.
Do rocks also have souls?
Some do. There are living rocks, and the Mayapur Narsingadev. So the way he was manifested was, it was for the persons, the sthapati who was supposed to carve that, he had to look for a particular type of rock which was living. And how do you know that it is a living rock? There is a way to find out, because there is, I believe there is a line of ants that pass through that rock, which gives some confirmation. The sthapati, the sculptor, the person who carves all these deities, they have all this knowledge to detect a living rock from a dead rock. So when it comes to deities, they generally look for living rocks. So yes, rocks are both living and dead.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Mataji, I have a question.
Yes, Manohar, tell me.
So my question is, so Tulsi Devi cursed Krishna to become a rock. So the rock Krishna became, and then the rock's name was Shaligram, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right. So I think we'll end here. Then I'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you so much. Vansha kalpatarubhascha kripa.
Manjari.